Hey guys, it's Adil with Fresh Mark Scents, another fresh review. Today I'll be reviewing K Eau de Parfum, a great blue scent, not the typical blue scent. People say it smells like other perfumes. I would still say it's my 2020 #1 blue fragrance for its unique, spicy, fresh and woody take on the classic blue scent. Now the top notes of this perfume are as follows. It has some blood orange, pimento spice, juniper berries, Sicilian lemon and cardamom. The mid notes are fig nectar, geranium, lavender and sage. Base notes are patchouli, cedar, nagamotha and vetiver. So in the top we get blood orange and pimento. This rounded blood orange is very juicy but not too sweet. The pimento spice kicks it off and isn't too harsh, but it does open the fragrance with a more juicy note. Here's the sprayer, by the way. So it has that juiciness of the blood orange, the pimento, then the almost gin and tonic sort of juniper berry sweetness comes in. The cardamom is very noticeable, and the lemon sort of smooths out the pimento spice as to not make it too harsh, but it still sends it in a spicy direction. You know, you got that lemon and spice. In Pakistan we use lemon and spice on corn to spice up the flavor, so that's memorable for that reason. It's almost like the chili powder and lemon, but with the blood orange and juniper berry, the juniper berry has a slight sort of bitter sweetness that really matches the lemon and pimento mix. So I find that very smooth, and it's a lot more rounded off with that cardamom. So some harsh notes in the beginning of the lemon and pimento, but the cardamom and juniper berry and blood orange sort of round it off in a bittersweet and aromatic way, which really opens up to the middle notes of fig nectar, geranium, lavender and sage. Now I coupled lavender and sage together because I find that these two are very relaxing and uplifting scents. In terms of the lavender gives you a breath of fresh air, like very calming, relaxing, and the sage is in the background and adds to that effect. It has a doubled relaxing effect. Now this fig nectar and geranium, the cardamom from the top note, the sweetness from the cardamom and a little bit of spice from pimento and lemon, this is thrust into the sweet fig nectar. So you have a spicy, sour, bitter, herbal and aromatic scent, whilst also having that sweetness from the fig nectar boosts the sweetness of the orange and the bitterness of the sweetness of the berries, and the spices of the pimento clash when the fig nectar hits. So the scent turns into a very unique, sweet, fruity, woody scent. The wood comes in a little bit from the top, slightly medicinal. If you were to smell it straight from the top, you would smell it as quite medicinal in the woody notes. But this is really rounded off by the cardamom when you actually spray the fragrance, and the lavender and sage stops it from being too medicinal. But the woody notes that you are smelling, the medicinal note that you are smelling, is the nagamotha, which is a very dark wood. I mentioned this in my last review, mixing with the patchouli to create a double woody effect. The patchouli is a sweet wood that matches with the juniper, the fig, a little bit of the blood orange. That is that kind of sweetness that comes out from the wood of the patchouli. A sweet woodness, quite refreshing. It works well with the lavender. The patchouli works well with the lavender because I always say patchouli gives a breath of fresh air. It's a aromatic, very woody, dry, sweet, aromatic wood scent that mixes fantastically with the lavender. And it's also got that sage, as I said before. That is a great couple from eons ago, using the herbal remedies, lavender and sage. So don't need to talk about that any further. It's very relaxing. So the patchouli, the nagamotha in the base, the cedar and vetiver. Now, this cedar is very common woody note, and it's sort of produces a middle value of the woody note. So people go, oh yeah, I recognize that woody note, and that's great for me, the cedar. But I think it's the patchouli and nagamotha that gives the lighter, sweeter tones and the darker tones, and cedar sort of right in the middle. But that vetiver, the introduction of vetiver in this in the scent, that introduces so many sour elements like juniper berry, blood orange, the Sicilian lemon and pimento from the top. That really comes in on its own when mixed with the mid notes. There's a fig nectar and geranium, but the top notes are very sour, and the vetiver in the base sort of it helps the sourness of that. It sort of introduces more sourness, but the middle is sweet. So it's a very interesting fragrance in that most blue fragrances are quite consistent. They start with a bergamot, then they get sweeter in the middle, and then at the end they would end with a typical woody base to sort of please the masses and say, oh yeah, we got some sandalwood in there, we just chuck in some cedar and maybe patchouli because it's part of the season. But this addition of nagamotha wood and vetiver at the end of a scent really rounds it in so there's a dark and sweet note at the end of the fragrance. So I think this is much more unique than people give it credit for, and it is the king of blue fragrances in 2020 because nothing else came like it that was new. I know that Sauvage Eau de Parfum got the winner for 2019, and that was very original as well for fall because it had spicy notes mixed with the cool notes. But this has sweet notes mixed with sour notes and woody notes in a very unusual combination. This has not just lavender and sage in the middle, it has fig nectar, and the geranium is very Versace Eros-esque. It's very creamy and almost gives the scent of vanilla. If you were to mix a geranium of this with the cardamom and take it out of the scent with a little bit of blood orange for the sweetness, you might think, wow, that's got some aromatic qualities from the cardamom, it's got some sweetness from the orange, and the geranium is very creamy. I may mistake it for vanilla, but the vanilla's not actually there in the scent. But you do get that creaminess of the geranium that is very similar to Versace Eros. Versace Eros comes in its own because it's my favorite party scent ever, I'd say, going out, because of that creamy vanilla mixed with the geranium. But the geranium in here is fantastic. So it has that element of a lot of other blue fragrances that are out there. So I feel that it gets missed out because it's similar to different ones in slightly different ways, but it does have its own character because the mid is fig nectar. It's a very rich, opulent, charismatic, fruity, energizing. I wouldn't say it's like a sports scent, but it does have that energy of coming very fresh and being done up and wearing some luxuriously sweet, relaxing and creamy notes mixed with something. These bittersweet notes of juniper berry and fig nectar are very luxurious when mixed with the Sicilian lemon because they give a clean and sweet and fresh vibe. So this has overall, I'd say sour, fresh, clean, relaxing, woody, and aromatic. It's a beautiful scent. It's got loads of things going for it. It's got interest. It's got intrigue with the mix of unusual notes. It's got the freshness that everybody loves for mass appealing. It's got notes that are similar to other perfumes that are so well done, like geranium, and it has its own character, its own DNA. When you think about nagamotha, fig nectar, juniper berry, cardamom, and geranium scents, I don't think anything smells like it. that kind of DNA is formed a niche in a very saturated market. So I do believe that this deserves its own crown. And check it out, guys. If you think I'm wrong, talk to me in the comment section, because this king is staying on top for me. You know, this is definitely working for fall, and winter is okay, but I think it's a fall winner. The projection on this is fantastic. I get an arm's length for the first, I'd say 5 hours. 6 hours would be 6 hours would be little bit pushing it in terms of the truth spectrum. But I'd say it definitely lasts on the skin for 7 hours. And the orange and pimento in the top, it does smell pretty similar to Davidoff Adventure. They have orange and pimento spice in there, but this is a little bit more spicy and a little bit less orange, but it does smell similar. A very nice comforting perfume. The cardamom in this is fantastic. I mixed D600 with Soleil d'Italie. They both have cardamom in, and it has a similar cardamom note in this to here. That means I mixed a £100 perfume with a £80 perfume, and I got a £70 perfume's cardamom. So this is a very good cardamom for the price. Another mention is that somebody said that this smells like Versace Dylan Blue, or they were comparing it. You can't really compare oranges to bergamot and pepper, because that's what it is, and it's completely different. This is ozonic and fresh, more typical of a blue fragrance in its consistency. It doesn't have any clashing notes. It's more ozonic, fresh, juicy, and uplifting. And this has many clashes, twists, and turns. And the last thing is, although I mentioned its similarity to Versace Eros in the geranium note, this has vanilla and this doesn't. So this stays more woody in the base, and this has a creamy vanilla in the base. So they are different, but both great perfumes. I get fantastic projection. I always get compliments with it. Whether it's, I mean, with men, it's a little bit... women don't just come up to you all the time and say, yeah, what are you wearing, whatever. But it's more of where the attention is going. If you feel that you're making a magnetic effect when your scent bubble is going around, and everybody's sort of eyes are sort of just, what was that? What was that? You know, or somebody was on their phone and then they just go, then you know that's a compliment in itself as well, in terms of, you know, you got noticed for the right reason. So people, when I go past smelling this, people had that sort of reaction where they go, I have smelled this before, but this person's wearing perfume and it's fancy. It might even be too fancy for this occasion, because it has that rich nectar, cardamom, and geranium vibe, which is so smooth, sweet, and luxurious in an exotic way. So check it out, guys. If you want to get noticed, if you want a scent for fall, winter, you could wear it for summer. It's juicy enough for summer, and the woodiness may not be overpowering. So check it out all year round, and tell me if there's a season that you can't wear it in. But I'd suggest this for fall, and it's a great eau de parfum. And if you have the EDT, let me know how that is as well. So take care, guys, and stay fresh.